share in terms of the task, key attributes about mobile learning. Depending on the time frame we've done bingo here, there's a listing here, and depending on how many you actually similarly get. In terms of a people perspective as well, I've asked one of your colleagues to share his experience in picking up a mobile device about a week ago, Andy?
Yeah.
A week and a bit? Yes. So this also gives another insight into his vicarious experience in this journey over a very short time frame. Finally, any burning issue, any big concern, any number one thing you'd like to share about the conversation you've just had? Yes.
The privacy issue, I noticed how there was a short session today, the clip you showed from YouTube.
Yes,
about, I mean, what would your policy be in the class? I mean, I know there's a sign of, say, no mobile phone.
Sure.
But I find it quite difficult to police. So
oh, I was just looking for the sign. But certainly some universities say this. I have seen another university saying, please take out your mobile phone because we're using it for, instead of the clickers, you know, the audience response things, there's some inter-platform applications now for doing this, so you can get audience response. I think it comes down to not so much very specific to this. I think it comes down to very broadly classroom management. That is maybe in part made more difficult by the use of some mobile devices. I think also maybe we could frame this a little bit later when we look at some of the learning considerations, but I'll definitely come back to this. Okay. Any other burning issue? Burning positive issue? No. Okay, thanks, Andy.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I got very, very lucky, and EDC lent me an iPad. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been playing with it and seeing what I can do with it. One thing that I have found that I can do with it is I can control the classroom computer. So that's what I'll do now. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about how the iPad can work for teachers, for students, what's similar, what's different, the advantages and the problems. First, I'd like to ask you a question. Have a look at the picture. School of Athens by Raphael, with all the Greek philosophers chatting away. What's the classroom layout?
Chaotic.
Chaotic. Why do you think it's chaotic?
No chair.
Yeah, okay, sit on the floor.
Where's the whiteboard?
Where's the whiteboard? Exactly. And if we look at a Victorian classroom, it's very different. Why is it so different? Sense of order, yeah, okay, that's very Victorian. Control, okay. Teacher oriented. Where does the teacher stand? At the front. Where am I standing now? Oh. So my point is that if you've got one of these, what you can do is you can move around any way you like in the classroom. You're not a prisoner of the blackboard or a prisoner of the computer anymore. You know, there's a couple of rooms in the PolyU where to operate that computer, you have to stand over there by the window, but the screens are over on this side of the class, so you can't see what's going on. If you've got one of these, it doesn't apply anymore. Okay, some things for teachers. These things are very portable. Not as portable as a phone, but much more portable than a notebook, for example. You can share documents. So, for example, David has an iPhone. I have an iPad. We can just bump these two machines together, and the machines will know they've just been bumped, and they will offer to share the documents between my machine and his machine. So if you have some classroom handouts that you want to share with the class, you can bump them with one student, he bumps them with two students, he bumps them with three students, etc. Spread it around the class. All ad hoc and unprepared. Also, you can do a very fast search for ad hoc information when you're with students. If you're with a group of students, they ask you a question, you can search on this machine very fast. This machine has voice search. All you have to do is say to the machine, Hong Kong Polytechnic University Centre for Independent Language Learning, and it will come up.
Can you test it? Test it.
I'll test it at the end after I close down this presentation. I have tested it.
Can you have two applications on at the same time?
I can have two applications on at the same time?
So you can
Okay.
test it then.
All right, I will test it.
Thank you. And can you try something else?
Attaboy, Adam.
Besides,
Stoke him up.
Okay, here's my Google app. And here's my search. And I will do voice search. And I will say, Hong Kong Polytechnic University Centre for Independent Language Learning. It's working.
we can't see it on the screen.
You can't see it on the screen now.
Says
And it has brought up a list of PolyU websites on here.
Not on here.
But not on there, no. Now I have to go back to here. Unfortunately, it has disconnected me.
Sorry about that.
Let's see if I can.
And they should note this is particular to the software. There's a very similar ones that you can use. I use one called Mobile Mouse, which is basically this sort of thing, but over a lot more. You can actually type on your phone, and it will type on the screen. So if you're taking notes, you know, as student feedback, you can sit anywhere basically. You don't have to sit at the desk, and you can move between applications quite seamlessly. But Andy's trial one is obviously free. You've worked out. This one costs about $12 US. And some people are passionate. Oh, it's not free. Why should I pay this? And I say to them, well, what did you have for dinner last night? How much did you spend? 100 Hong Kong, roughly? Maybe a little less. Depends. McDonald's meal? I'm not sure. So a lot of the applications are less than a coffee at Starbucks. So, but I mean, collectively, you know, they would obviously look at volume licensing. These are other sort of considerations.
Okay, so we'll go on to the bit for students. So, students can download lots of apps, and a lot of them are free. All the ones I'm going to talk about today are free. And they can have them either on their iPad or on their iPhone. So, for example, the dictionary from dictionary.com is a free app, and it's one of the best online dictionaries there is, and it includes a voice section so that the students can press a button and they can hear what the word sounds like. You can get Wikipedia apps for this, so that in advance of class you can load up a Wikipedia app on a Wikipedia page on here and use it in the lesson. And the students can also look up things on Wikipedia during the class if you'd like them to. It has a built-in browser which is Safari. It's on all of the iPads, so that the students can browse and look for internet resources and do research in class. eLearn will work on here, on the iPad, and it's readable and the students can go into their course. They could even write something into eLearn in class. If they have a group of students all around one iPad, they could type in an essay or a paragraph from a report or something in the classroom, and then it would be straight into eLearn. There are also lots of ebooks on these machines. The program I'm using is called FreeBooks, and it has 25,000 books. I am currently reading The Tavern Night by Raphael Sabatini, which is an excellent book, and I recommend reading. And there's other reading materials that you can get as well. For example, RSS feeds, you can set up the computer to look for websites that you like and download a kind of newspaper for you every day. Okay, next bit, what's similar? The familiarity for students is like an iPhone, and as Peter said, so many students have got an iPhone these days. They'd be very familiar with what to do with an iPad, because it's just like a bigger iPhone. And for teachers too, I'd just like to find out, I'm just curious, how many people here have got an iPhone? Please wave your hand in the air. So, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 30, so about a fifth of us already have got an iPhone. Who's got a smartphone? iPhone, Android, whatever. Please put your hands up, including the iPhone people. A few more. Okay, so most of us are very familiar with this. Well, a number of us are familiar with this kind of technology. What's different? Different from a notepad computer, for example, is the convenience. It's easy to carry. It's also multifunctional, which makes it convenient. There's lots of things you can do on here. There are things like timer programs for timing your student presentations, for example. The typing on here is faster than on an iPhone. On this screen you can see how much bigger the keyboard is than on an iPhone. It's a lot easier to type on here. There's the voice search for Google, which I just demonstrated. For zooming, you just pinch things with your fingers like this, and it makes them smaller and bigger. You do need, for this version, a Wi-Fi connection. This one doesn't have a phone inside, but some of them do, but they're more expensive. And applications. It's hard to write your own applications for this device. For Android devices, it seems to be much easier, and Google wants you to do it. But for Apple, they prefer professionals to do it, so it's harder. Advantages. Apps are cheap, cheaper than Microsoft programs in general. Apple's version of Microsoft Word for this machine costs about $10 US, which is about 80 Hong Kong dollars. Most apps in the web store are $1, $2, $3. Very cheap. Many apps are free. On here I've got the BBC website app, I've got the South China Morning Post I can download every morning, I've got the Standard I can download every morning, the International Herald Tribune, I've got a Mind Mapper checklist programs, text-to-speech, British Council programs like their IPA trainer, lots of them. TeamViewer is the program that I'm using at the moment to control this presentation. However, there are some problems. Number one, it's another device to maintain, another device to keep charged up, another device to carry around, and to try to remember not to leave it in the pub, etc. Some people say that you can replace your notebook computer with this. It depends on what you use your notebook for. If you have some very specialized programs, then probably not. But maybe for a lot of us, then maybe this can be a replacement for a notebook computer. Secondly, there's no site licenses for the PolyU, so therefore the PolyU can't pay for the apps that we need. However, Apple do sell vouchers, so we might be able to persuade the PolyU to buy vouchers and then give them to us, and then we can use those for paying in the App Store. And I hope Peter can persuade the BPAD to go down this path. And then the next problem is the issue of it being distracting in class. As Peter showed the video of the teacher smashing up the student's phone. Some people see this as a problem. Some people think, well, maybe this is a controllable problem. Maybe I can tell the students who have notebooks when to put the screen down and when to lift it up. Maybe some people say, we're not in control of this at the moment already because you can't tell if the students have got their phones under the table and they're going like this. So I think as teachers we'll just have to go with the flow and adapt and work out strategies about how to handle people using all sorts of devices in class, because it's going to happen. Problem number two, there's no camera on here. Most mobile phones have got a camera, iPhones have got a camera. This one doesn't. Maybe the version 2 will have a camera, everybody's speculating, nobody really knows. An Android version of a tablet called the Samsung Galaxy Tab, which came up earlier, does have a camera, but it's not a very good camera. But then you've got the camera in your iPhone, and I believe there are apps where your iPad can connect to your iPhone and use the camera, and they can communicate with each other. Secondly, as we mentioned before, no flash, so some websites won't work. The main one is YouTube, but this machine has a YouTube program on it, so you can watch YouTube videos on it. Not all apps are projectable. Actually, it's Russian roulette. Projectable, I mean, the app on here, you can get a cable to link it up to the colored wires on the desk and show things on the screen like that. However, for some apps it works and some apps it doesn't work. So for example, for the web browser app Safari, it doesn't work, which is a major problem. However, if you're doing what I'm doing now, then that's less of a problem because you can still use it. My conclusion, does anybody recognize